Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Acebo.
And we are here to talk about episode 373, For Whom Wedding Bells Toll. For Whom the Wedding Bells Toll, in fact. Part 2. And Andrew? Letting the cat out of the bag. Is this the best episode we've covered? Is this my favorite episode we've covered?
It's so high up there. Like, it's so perfect that this is what we're talking about today. And, this is almost officially the 5-year anniversary of the show as of recording this.
Yeah, I think right around when we started recording the show was probably a week or two from now, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's very close to the conception of our show.
Definitely. And we definitely held out on this episode for a really long time, and I'm glad that we did because, boy, yeah, I concur. It's so good.
Yeah, I just had a dumb smile on my face this entire episode. I have a ton of affection for it, and I can't wait to talk about it with you.
Oh. Gosh.
Yeah.
Do we have any context we should get out of the way before we roll the promo?
Not really. It's an episode written and directed by one Paul McCusker. It first aired September 13th of 1997. It is the only new character in this episode is Thaddeus Gumley, but he's voiced by the same guy who voices Holstein.
Which you can hear a little bit.
A little bit. Although, like, Kenneth Mars is a guy with range.
Definitely.
They don't feel like they're the same character.
No, they feel like they're completely different people that are from the same region. It's more, just you can only hear it in the slightest bits of vocal inflection because
they're both like European-esque.
Yeah,
but you have Holstein who's playing like very like low class, and Gumley who's playing very high class.
Yeah, maybe like a Danish man, perhaps. I don't know. No, but whenever I hear like a new character introduced, like I'm always listening to see if it's a new voice actor or if it's anybody I recognize. And I couldn't quite frame it as Holstein, but also I think that Holstein comes in later in the episode, so I didn't quite have something to compare it to or know that he was already there.
Yeah. Oh man. What an episode.
What an episode. I'm so excited. Is there a separate promo for this? Or is it
I'm going to check real quick. Yes, Andrew. Yes, there is.
Woohoo!
Remember Katrina? Eugene sure does. Next time on Adventures in Odyssey, Jason learns that she's back in town to help out at Holstein's Books. Will Katrina help Eugene's heart, too? Then eyebrows raise as Jack Allen makes big decisions about buying an antique shop and about his relationship with Joanne Woodston. All on the next Adventures in Odyssey.
Joanne Woodston. I always forget that she has a maiden name.
Yep.
Oh, that was fantastic. What did you think of that promo, Dylan?
So good. The guitar is giving me everything that I want.
Yeah, very Danger Zone in a way that I can't say that I was prepared for.
Yeah, it really is Danger Zone, isn't it?
But I dig it. I'm certainly not complaining, and I think it does a good job of capturing kind of the frantic fun that happens in this episode. So speaking of which, this episode picks up obviously right where part 1 ends with Connie dropping the bomb about Margaret proposing to Whit on Jason. Yep. So Jason's freaking out, doesn't understand what's going on, and then Connie is like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with Jack or Joanne or Eugene or Katrina, and Jason's then freaking out even more, and this is when Connie decides to happily divert attention towards Jack and Joanne.
Yeah, but first, this is a stellar episode for both Katie Lee and Will Smith.
Will Smith!
I have done that before. This is a stellar episode for both Katie Lee and Will Ryan.
Yeah.
And they there's just so many little performance things that I adore.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jason going, Connie, you're driving me crazy. And her just like in a perfect, like, charmed, just like, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. It's everything.
Oh,
like,
no,
it
it's
just,
so funny.
It makes me so happy.
Well, and the cutting back and forth between the, like, Connie telling the story to Jason and everything that is being involved with the characters, like, I was kind of afraid that it would feel choppy and disconnected or not follow well, but, like, I feel like the bits really just roll off through each other, like, pretty well.
It's so good. I feel like they really honed in from last episode to this episode. Like, I really liked last episode.
Yeah.
This episode feels like it's playing way more, though, in the sandbox, in this, like, weird sandbox they've created, of, like, with the framing device, speaking of, you know, Wes Anderson off-mic conversations. But, like, the man loves a framing device, and this episode also loves a framing device.
Yeah, and we can just play so much with that.
It's great. And so, so we jump into Jack and Bernard going to the antique store to take a look around. They meet Thaddeus Gumley, a guy who was born to sell antiques.
Definitely.
Because he is named Thaddeus Gumley.
Yeah.
And he keeps making allusions to an antique store owner that remains unnamed. I know who it is. Because I remember these episodes.
Oh, I don't.
Wow.
Who is the...
Did it, we won't say, because we'll talk about it next week, but, like, were you aware of how many times, like, of how hard they were hitting antique store owner? Like, they just kept saying the store owner in ways where it's, like, so obvious that the show is trying to bury a secret.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Mm-hmm. No, that's why I'm like, I feel like it's somebody of significance that I should remember, but I can't recall who Jack ends up buying the store from.
Spoiler alert, it's Dr. Regis Blackard a third time.
It's the... Wait, no, this is before the chairman.
Well, but you never know. Maybe the antique store is owned by Andromeda, and it was all... You know, Odyssey's known for its tight writing and good timeline over many years. So.
Yes, exactly. Especially their continuity.
So there's just some fun Bernard jokiness when they're talking about all the antiques, and Bernard just doesn't get it, and Jack's like, "Oh no, this is great." And there's like this couch that, and Bernard just has a great line of, like, when I was growing up, anything with a bounce qualified as a trampoline.
Which amen.
Resonated so well. Like, it's a well-written line. I like it.
Anything with it, and then, like, he goes into saying, like, oh, you know, everything was super fun. We were going to be the Flying Waldinis, and then my parents came home, and they beat us violently.
Yeah,
no,
because they went to the school of Dr. James Dobson.
Yes, where the
Beat your kids.
Beat your kids, spare the stick, and spoil the child. Poor Bernard was scarred.
You heard it with stick. I heard it with rod.
No, yeah, it's
Rod
definitely...
is scarier.
Yeah, it's definitely Rod.
Spare the rod and spoil the chod.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Gumley's asking Jack about his experience, and Jack's like, "Oh, I've never, like, worked in it, you know, in an antique shop, but I worked in an auction house in Pasadena," which is a fact so specific that it has to be pulled from someone's life.
Yeah, I feel like it must be.
Like, I'm like, is that McCusker?
Yeah, well, it's got to be.
He has
somebody.
Strong, just like the specificity of that line.
Or maybe he knew somebody,
right?
Like, maybe it was McCusker's best friend or something like that.
But it's just like
auction house.
Yeah. Yep.
That would track if Jack is.
Because also, like, Pasadena, not a location that most people are, like, very aware of.
Well, and like, yeah, why are we name dropping Pasadena, California?
Correct.
Like, we could have done Malibu, we could have done, so many other places.
I mean, but Pasadena feels like the right spot for, an auction house. But
Certainly.
it is also like I didn't ever think Jack was a California guy.
No, certainly not. Well, and it's not till it's explored in the Triangle episode that they went to college together with Jack and Whit. So I don't even know if that's...
Did we go to college in California?
Yeah, because USC, UCLA.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's that.
I
Well,
don't think I remembered that. Because is it Whit's dad that taught at Duke? There's some Duke thing, isn't there?
Oh, yes, I do believe that's why his dad moved initially to the United States or something like that, and he's with his nanny because his dad's teaching at Duke or something.
Right, but the Southern California thing makes sense because it's, focused on the family, and that's where they came from before they ran away from, the liberal nonsense of Southern California to escape to, Colorado, a famously non-liberal state.
Yeah.
But
nothing says conservative like Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, except for the Springs, apparently.
Apparently. And
true safe haven for them.
Well,
but it's like nowadays, they just go to Texas, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, if they got to pick up more Florida, I could see them doing Florida as well.
Yeah.
But either one of those, you just got to have a big entertainment market and really, really, really holy tax parameters.
That's holy with a W or with an H, Andrew?
With a W.
Love them holy taxes.
Amen.
What is a tithe but a holy tax?
It's really holy. It's only 10%.
So yeah, they leave, and Jack and Bernard have like just a great conversation in which Jack's like very excited about the antique shop. He's like, this is the place to go. Like, I absolutely believe this. And Bernard's like, yeah, but like, if you like, have you given thought to, if you're staying in Odyssey, like, does that have an effect on another relationship in your life?
Yeah.
And should it? And they kind of have that conversation that like Whit was unwilling to have last episode, and Jack's just like playing ball.
Yeah, no, Jack's willing to go for it because obviously it's something that he's considered, and I think it's in line with his character to be at least considerate of all of the components of making a major decision like that.
Yeah.
And, this is on the back of Jack kind of like waxing poetical about, the metaphor of antiques and the flow of time and like passing on your stories and everything. So it feels very organic for Jack then to just kind of jump into it and be like, yeah, no, I mean, I am kind of ready to settle down here.
Yeah.
And this does kind of feel like home. And, I suppose I do need to talk to Joanne about this.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of it, which is, it's a sweet moment, and it's cool that it's Bernard having the conversation with Jack and not Whit.
Yep, I agree.
Because you have that kind of contrast in their perspective, and Bernard's giving Jack like a hard time for being so wishy-washy about it all.
Yep, and you also have the thing where it's like, we have seen at this point in the show, have seen way more interaction between Jack and Bernard than between Jack and Whit.
Yeah.
So it's just a more lived-in, comfortable conversation. Like, one of the things I think that works really well in this episode is that Whit is barely in it.
Definitely.
And when he is, he kind of sticks out, which we can talk about in the next scene. Look at that.
Way to go.
Segue, which is immediately invalidated by me talking about the fact that it's a segue. But we jump back to the car briefly because the comment that Jack means is like, oh yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to like ask a question, and Jason's like, oh, so Jack's doing it, and Connie's like, well, I wouldn't don't get ahead of yourself there, Jason. We got to go and check in with Eugene, and explains that he developed an inventory system for Holstein's books as part of like a college program to like do stuff like charitably in the community. which then that charity was rewarded with a grant
Yep.
from
And
Holstein.
a scholarship.
Yes, and and a perpetual scholarship, because apparently Fred Holstein is loaded.
He's got all the money and
I have
all the books.
And I have a little bit of concern about where that money came from, given his heritage.
Yeah. Where did you get all these books? Tell me, where did they come from? Did you take them from people?
Yeah, I mean, look, they weren't burnt, so that's good.
Yeah.
But also,
The fact that you have 6 copies of Mein Kampf feels a little unnecessary.
he does specialize in banned books.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yes.
Books about the Beatles. And,
Yep. What's the other one? That he? Oh, like the clarinet. Doesn't he say something?
Oh, yeah, he might say the clarinet. I forget. Listen to our episode on The Perfect Witness for more on that. I think that's a Perfect Witness thing.
Lord knows we've covered too many episodes.
But not enough Holstein episodes.
No, certainly not enough. I mean, all of them is not enough in my opinion. Yeah. But actually, that's not true, because I'm pretty sure he carries into new episodes. So
no, they introduce a brother.
That's right.
Played by a different voice actor.
Lovely.
But yeah, so this is a somewhat tedious. It's very one note, and it's Holstein giving the speech on stage, listing off so many things, because nothing's funnier than a list. I'm looking at you, Daniel Palladino. And he just keeps like running down all of this stuff until like he finally invites Eugene up, and Eugene tries to like say like something nice and heartfelt, and Holstein just kind of shoos him off stage.
Yeah. It was like, oh, thank you for speaking. Now come take my money. No, he says, come say hello while you take my money.
Yes.
That does make me laugh.
Yeah. He's a funny guy.
No, it is. It is genuinely humorous. And having just watched The French Dispatch, where there's the whole bit with the lady giving the presentation about the arts. Is it Tilda Swinton? She looks like Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yeah. It's for sure Tilda Swinton.
And then she, like, steps to the front and, like, has a drink and, like, talks this mad shit and then goes back and starts her job again.
Yeah.
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 It's giving me very much that, which I love. I love to see.
Yeah. And so it's Connie and Whit and Eugene chatting after the ceremony, talking about
reception.
Yeah, they're at the reception. Holstein has provided the sausages himself based off an old family recipe.
Yeah.
They apparently are not quite good, which I have never had a bad sausage.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things.
But I can imagine you would notice pretty immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, sausage is a strong flavor, and if the balances are off, like I've had sausages that are like have a little bit too much dill in them or something like that, where I'm like, oh, that's less ideal. But I've never had like, wow, this sausage tastes like bad.
Right. Well, and maybe it's Bloodwurst or something. You know, maybe it's something that people isn't necessarily appealing to the American palate. But
that's fair. It could be not normal sausage fillings.
Yeah, but he's having they're hanging out.
They're eating,
and then Holstein comes up and is like, Eugene, turn around, I have a surprise for you.
Yep.
And Eugene's like, no, you've done plenty.
Yes, please stop.
And he's like, no, you'll like this one. Turn around, and we just get like,
hi, Eugene.
Hello, Eugene.
Oh, hello, Eugene.
But it is just, I mean, it's it's
so good.
It's beautiful. I love it. It's very
erotic.
Yes. Yeah. It's very similar to Tasha's reintroduction.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, Jason.
Yes. But it's just, she just says it with so much charm, and obviously this is the return of Katrina Shanks.
Yes.
She is reveals that she's
stay.
She's working for Holstein, or working at Holstein's for the summer. While he travels, she's managing the bookstore and also babysitting his grandson, Hans.
Yes.
My
Very
favorite
important.
Holstein.
Yeah. I really hope Hans comes back. It would be his brother's nephew, so presumably there's probably...
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Why didn't they have Hans come and run the bookstore, you know?
Well, that would imply too much passing of time, and then they would have to do something with Connie's character, and that's a whole mess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Just have him be like 18.
But they brought Monty back.
True.
In Green
And
Ring,
Did,
so,
he
like,
did become an adult.
Yeah. I think they could pull it off with Hans.
Yeah, but Monty's last appearance on the show was like
Album 7, I think.
Yeah, really early on. This is
Yeah.
a little bit later. But no, they definitely could. I think they should, and they could and should bring back
maybe
Hans.
just bring him back right as a teenager. Like,
Yeah.
Can we
I'm
get
here
some
for
Hans Holstein?
Mm-hmm. Have him. We could do a little like third culture kid shock in Odyssey. You know, Hans learning to go to Odyssey High, interacting with Buck and Jules, and learning about American romance, perhaps.
Yeah.
I won't listen to it, but you can make the episode if you want.
It's true. I also will not unless one of us voices Hans. And then
Yes, then I will. Unless I am on the show, unless I have production credits, then I will.
Or if we write the episode, you know, I'll take it either way. You can leave that or take it or leave it. Focus on the family. I'm making one offer.
Yep.
It's like, look, if you want this talent on your show, and I know you do.
You've heard my voice. You know what it sounds like.
Then you're gonna have to let me do what I want with Hans.
Yeah, you're gonna let me. You're gonna have to let me have my way with Hans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like that. Yeah, I'm taking ownership over this character. He appeared in one episode with an uncredited voice actor and no lines.
Yep. But he's mine now.
Yeah.
Put the small German child in the bag and nobody gets hurt.
That's what I'm saying. And so yeah, he is over drinking, sticking his head in the punch bowl. He's a very rotund little boy.
Yes.
And
just like his grandfather, which
Is
was
Holstein?
mentioned earlier.
oh,
Yeah, because he says we have books for all kinds of people, for skinny people, and for hefty people like me.
you really nailed the Holstein laugh.
Thank you.
And so yeah, it's just
it's
Eugene's
perfect.
taken aback by Katrina being there, but is very excited. We get Jason cutting in to be like, oh, so she came for like Eugene's award. That's sweet. And Connie's like, well, not quite.
Yeah.
A little bit more than that. And also this is the first interaction between Paul Herlinger and Katrina.
Yes.
Like between Wit 2
Yeah.
and Katrina Shanks. And he comes on very strong.
So strong. Very excited to have Katrina back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Lord, I missed you so much.
Yes, which I'm like, you know, I'm here for, but also it did
Hey,
seem...
now.
Yeah, it was just like,
How much did you miss
you
her
just
with?
really needed to express that you are in this scene, didn't you, Wit?
Yep. I am.
Or like, if I say the line very enthusiastically and loudly, people will remember that I'm in an episode that no one wants me in.
Well, he's certainly not partnered into the plot this episode. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then we get to my first favorite scene of this episode.
Oh, is this the drive-through?
It's the drive-through.
So iconic. I love...
Yep. I have these words burned into my mind as it was playing out. I was like, yep, I know every beat of this. The bit is that the drive-through guys, you cannot understand them because it's that distorted. And also, they don't know how to deal with substitutions. And it really feels like McCusker had an axe to grind, but also it's such an easy exaggeration of everyone's drive-through experience, which is that, like, it's hard to hear people and the substitution stuff gets screwed up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're taking that to 11.
We're taking it, 11 might be an understatement. They forgot the burger at the end.
It's just, which famously, friend of the show, Michaela Moeller, received a burger from McDonald's that was just a slice of cheese between two buns.
Now that is special. I have never had such things happen. I feel like for the most part, I just order as it comes. So I've never been like a no tomatoes or no onions kind of guy where like that causes problems. But I can definitely sympathize with people that I've messed up plenty of orders. I'll say that much. I've messed up plenty of substitutions.
Oh man. But yeah, it is it's such a fun scene, and I love the like Connie places
yes.
her order, Jason places like there's the confusion about what they're saying. Connie's like, I just wait for there to be a break in sound and then I say my thing.
Yeah.
And so she does that, and then Jason says his, and then he says a substitution at the end, and Connie's like, oh no, shoot, I forgot to tell you, you can't do a substitution. It breaks everything.
Which, like, fair. I mean, honestly.
And then they talk back, and she's just like, just say yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh man, we're gonna be waiting a while they figure out how to make a burger without pickles.
Yeah. Jason's freaking out. He's like, you just leave the pickles off the burger. Like,
substitution. The Kaiser system is just, it's absolutely delightful. It came up, and I was just like, oh, I'm so happy.
It's one of those
this.
Odyssey memories that I have that is so burned into my psyche, but I couldn't have told you before today which episode it was from.
Oh yeah, same. It was a true delight coming across it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then
we cut to Eugene and Whit and Connie talking about Katrina's return.
Yeah, and Connie says that, like, as she's telling Jason that Eugene was responding in, like, typical Eugene fashion.
Yeah.
And Will Ryan just killing it with the performance.
He's on another level. It's so good.
The way he plays, like, stressed out.
Yeah.
Eugene is absolutely incredible.
Especially emotionally distraught Eugene. Like,
yeah,
where it's like, I'm feeling so many conflicting emotions. I don't know how he's able to convey that with his voice, but he does it so well.
Yeah, and he's talking about like, oh, it was when she was gone, it was easy to act like we were friends and to have the relationship just be that. But now she's back, and I don't know how to do that. Like, how do I be friends with her while she's close?
Yeah.
And Whit's just like, well, you just do it like, you do with your other friends. He's like, I don't have those except for you and Connie. And Connie and I, and he says, all I do is argue with Connie. And just
Connie says no, and he says, see what I mean?
Well, but it's so much better than that, because just, once again, Katie Lee, Will Ryan, fantastic performers. Killing it in this episode. He says all I do is argue with Connie, and Connie just says that's not true. Yeah. And he says, see? But like the way that's written on the page could be a ramping up.
Yeah.
And more like, all I do is argue with Connie. That's not true. See? Like but it's played so understated.
Yeah.
And it just delights me.
Yeah.
It's kind of building off this thing we've been talking about of like the relationship between Eugene and Connie has gotten so much more mature. Especially like post the Middle East. Like since he's been back, and they've been together again, they've had really good interactions and just like a fun chemistry that is way less annoyingly at each other and more just kind of like friend. Yes.
Yeah.
And I just love the choice to deliver the lines in the way they do.
Oh yeah. Well, it feels very sibling rivalry of like, see, this is reality.
Yep.
But like, I'm not drawing attention to it right now because this is reality.
Right. Like we're just
like the way he says, like, see what I mean?
See?
Sources cited at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's so fun. And
this is where Eugene also says, spontaneous, how do I plan for that? Which is a mood.
And it's like, that's the idea.
Yeah,
like,
yes. You're on the right track.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, and that sentiment of like, oh, it's so much easier to like ignore feelings when there is distance.
Oh, yeah.
And then when that distance is gone, like this is tough, is such a reality and something that is very relatable to me. And so I was just like, oh man, like I like seeing that represented. I like the idea that it's like, right, Eugene didn't really have to grapple with the way their relationship ended because of the distance. And also, like, not only is there distance, but this is also a time before like text messaging and social media and like all the ways that you like keep up with a person now.
But he didn't have to see pictures of Katrina and Brandon every 2 weeks on his phone after everything happened.
Right.
So he was able to actually get distance and heal.
Yep. And so now he's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And it's just it's fun. I like it, and it hits on like actual like truth about like relationships.
No, it is actually like I find it very authentic in like a cool way.
So we then go from this delightful scene to the Eugene and Katrina at Trickle Lake.
Ugh.
As they
buy a sticker on our website.
It just says Eugene and Katrina at Trickle Lake?
No, it just says Trickle Lake, right? Don't we still have this?
Oh, we have a Trickle Lake parking pass.
Yeah!
Courtesy of the aforementioned Michaela Muller. Yeah, go buy a Trickle Lake parking pass. You can get it as a sticker.
Yes, you can.
Put it on your car, confuse people.
Yeah, fake parks. All these people decorating their cars with like state park places of real locations.
Right. You could have all the fictional ones.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a Trickle Lake sticker on the back of Andrew's iPad right now. It's not the one we sell, but there is another one out there.
It does exist, and it's not as good.
But it is fun, and I've got a matching
fun.
one that says Forest Mountain, which brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, Forest Mountain's iconic. Gotta have it.
Oh man, but yeah, so they're up there with Hans, and
he hasn't eaten in 15 minutes.
Correct,
He must be starving.
Eugene can throw a football.
Yeah, what?
With like
when
a good
did he learn
spiral.
That? Yeah,
and
perfect trajectory.
Yeah, and he misses, or Hans keeps not catching it, and then Eugene has to go retrieve it.
Then
so he's basically just throwing football with himself. And yeah, Hans gets sent away to go buy a hot dog with his grandpa's money.
Yeah.
And this gives Eugene and Katrina the opportunity to flirt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh.
It's delightful. You have just this great exchange about like growing up where Katrina's like, wow, you're so good with like kids. And he's like, I was a kid once too. And she's like, I thought you skipped past all of that.
And it wasn't academically challenging enough for you.
And they're so cute.
Yeah.
It's such strong flirting. And I also had the thought of, oh no, is this how I learned to flirt? Because so much of this style is my style. And maybe that's just how flirting works.
I don't think that there's a distinct style. I mean, well, I would say there's probably like sub forms of flirting maybe that are universal. But
like I've always been way more into the like the playful jab and witty side of flirting.
Definitely,
versus the like fawning over someone.
Yeah. I mean, so like I like to use like a compliment to get my foot in the door. And then beyond that, then it's like, okay, now I'm just kind of ribbing with you and seeing, how you respond to my interactions. Whether you're laughing at what I'm saying, or is it funny, is it whatever, or do you seem interested, or do you like look like you're waiting for me to shut up and leave?
But yeah, it is just that's fair. I don't know.
Compliment to lower their guard, and then but like if you're friends with somebody and you want to get flirty, I feel like those jabs are like the first way at least that I do it. Where
no,
I'm
this
like...
is the problem. Is I am better about this now, but I think I have always in life been flirtier than I am aware of.
Oh, interesting.
And I think listening to a ton of Odyssey might slightly be to blame because I'm like, this is just how you interact with people.
Yeah.
But there's, I'm sure many, many factors. But like, yeah, I have a default mode of flirtiness that I sometimes have to remind myself to turn off.
For sure. No, I definitely feel that way. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily flirtiness, at least in my mind, but I have a internal compass and dial for friendliness that I often have to consciously dial back so that people don't get the wrong idea. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just being myself and trying to make these people feel comfortable. And then, like, I talked to my girlfriend about it, and she's like, actually, they might perceive it as this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. Like, I had no intention of that. It's truly harmless. But, I think for guys like us, if you're not, like, because neither of us are particularly high-T, manly, burly men.
No.
So
Andrew
like,
more so than me.
Yeah, slightly, but...
I mean, I'm looking at your biceps right now.
But I feel like that makes it so that I'm just naturally a bit more approachable, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, it's super cute, and I love it, but I did have a little bit of, like... I think I probably took a lot away from
I definitely did. Yeah.
in my life. And so
and her complimenting Eugene about being good with kids, like, I feel like that was, like, burned into my memory of, like, Andrew, you need to be good with kids, otherwise nobody will love you.
And you know what, folks? He is.
I'm doing okay with the children, I'll tell you what.
I just got complimented for being good with kids this past week.
Nice!
Where someone was like, basically said, like, you seem like an oldest child, but you're really good with kids, so what gives? Like, your siblings don't have kids, so why are you so comfortable around them? And I was like, well, there are other factors than siblings, but thank you.
Yeah.
I will take that as a compliment. Eugene... just in like a complete belly flop, asks Katrina about Brandon.
Yeah. So how's Brandon doing? Like,
and
like
she was
under
like,
his breath.
Oh, I haven't kept up with him.
And he's like, oh, that's so terrible.
And well, because Katrina says, like, but my parents say, like, that he's, at Yale Divinity School,
yeah.
like, and he's got a serious girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And Eugene's like, yeah, that's so terrible. But he just says it with a grin.
Yeah.
And I love that Katrina laughs.
Yeah.
It's just a great little moment in the episode because so often that sort of joke is played as us, the audience, think that that's funny.
Yeah.
But Katrina is oblivious to it. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't understand why Eugene's asking these things or the weight that they carry, but we as the audience do. And this one was just like, no, Katrina gets it.
No,
she knows exactly what
Katrina knows.
She knows exactly what Eugene's doing.
Yeah.
And like it's making her laugh. And I love that.
Well, and it's the benefit that you can do when you're citing characters with so much history together that, yeah, of course Katrina knows about Eugene's flippy, floppy, wishy-washy nature, especially to bring up Brandon and his lack of eloquence when it comes to expressing himself. And, like, if she's still interested in him, she's got to find that endearing.
Right. For sure.
And, yeah, no, I just think that it's so sweet, and the fact that, like, yeah, the fact that she doesn't react negatively which was my thing, was like, I heard Eugene get super excited and I was like, all right, now Katrina's gonna be mad that he's like basically rooting against Brandon. But no, like, it's really good, and he pivots to basically talking about, you know, being content with their relationship and being so glad to have her back, considering everything that they've been through.
Yep. And she tries to respond, but splat!
Yeah.
Hans hits her in the face with the football.
And it straight up sounds like somebody hit the voice actress in the mouth with something while they were recording.
Yeah.
It is a really good
Pamela
sound.
Hayden, write in if you were abused by the by the engineers on this episode.
Yeah, show me on this football where it hit you in the face.
Show me on this football. It's really funny.
I was thinking the John Mulaney.
Yeah, but what you did is took the object that hit her as the object that represents her.
Yes.
And that's good.
Yes. Great Foley work though for this episode. Also with the sausage earlier, we glanced over it, but I did notice
you
the
hear
bite
Connie
sound.
eating the sausage. It's good.
It's quite the interesting noise.
Yep. We then, oh my word, Connie interrupts.
Yeah.
Or Jason interrupts or whatever, and Connie's explaining that like he was rushed to they rushed her to the ER, and we're like hearing the sound overlaid with what she's saying.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. And Eugene's like, and Jason's like, was it that serious? And she's like, well, no. Like,
yeah.
She got 4 stitches though,
Yeah.
and there's a broken tooth, and they've got to go to the dentist, and Eugene fainted, and it's all like when she says like Eugene did faint though, and we just cut so briefly to hear Eugene faint, and then come back out of it. I'm just like, that's the point at which I wrote, oh, is this my favorite episode?
No, this sting is just so good of just Eugene fainting, and like, the cut to him frantically being like, we have a medical emergency, I need a doctor, I need assistance, and then he passes out, and then she's got to get, like, the scene where she's in the dentist, and the dentist is talking to her, and she's trying to communicate, like, it's just so funny.
Yep.
Like, it all works.
Yes. And it ends with her being like having a week of bed rest.
Yeah.
During which Eugene played nurse.
So cute. Yeah, and Connie's talking about like basically Eugene was constantly around her, taking care of her, making sure, picking up prescriptions, cooking her soft foods, all of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, right. And then at this point, the drive-thru guy interrupts.
Oh, yeah.
To say, so did you want that without onions?
Yeah.
He's like, no pickles. And then as soon as the door closes, he's like, wait, but I would have just taken a burger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Just bail me out of this.
The drive-thru guy sounds so sad. He's like, oh, okay.
I know, and unfortunately, drive-thru guy is not a credited actor in this episode, because I would love to know who that is.
Yeah,
but
really.
it's a great performance, is what it is.
I want to think that secretly that they like offered $50 to some guy working at McDonald's for 20 minutes of his time.
This is just all like actual.
Yeah.
Quentin's Quick Burger, by the way. We didn't establish the name of this joint, but it appears in this episode alone. But I do love it.
Well, we've got to add it to the map of all the restaurants and fixtures around town.
Yep. Oh man. But then we jump to, and then that's right. Jason's just getting so worked up, and Connie's like, "What is getting to like? Come on, like what you're so worried about all these things?" And he's like, "Yo, it's just like I didn't used to be this worked up, but it's it's ever since I was at the airport." And Connie's like, "Oh, perfect, airport.
Yeah,
great cue." Because our next scene takes place in the airport. I'm just like, this episode is perfectly crafted.
Yeah, no, it is so good.
And we jump in to Jack and Joanne. Jack's picking Joanne up at the airport. And they go to the antique shop and are looking around, and Joanne really loves it.
Yeah.
And we are very careful to not say the owner's name during this whole scene.
Very careful.
And then they go out to a nice place for dinner afterwards. I forgot to write down it, but it had one of those names where you're like, fancy.
Oh. Ooh, yeah, no, I didn't write it down either.
It was like Shea food.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but like it was supposed to sound very upscale.
Le French
and like
restaurant.
even right, the inside of it was a very upscale sounding, like they just
China ware and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. And just well foleyed, and
you could hear tablecloths as opposed to dining room.
Yeah.
Or, like dining tables.
Yes. And Joanne's just talking about how great the shop is, but she's also like, but you knew all this.
Yeah, why are you...
What do you care? And Jack's like, well, but what do you think of it? And I know I love Odyssey. Do you love Odyssey? And she's like, yes. And he's like...
I want to settle down here. Do you want to settle down here?
She's like, what are you asking?
Yeah.
And he gets down on one knee and his back cracks.
Yeah. Amen.
And they have a cute exchange, and he proposes, and Joanne just beautifully is just like, I'll have to ask my parents first.
Yeah, so funny. Absolutely killer joke.
I love a bit.
Oh my God.
Most stressful moment of Jack's life.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I didn't ever expect to have to do this again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's like in pain, and she's like, but she cuts the tension, and it's just so cute and fun.
Yes.
And it's the epitome of their relationship together.
And Jason interrupts to be like, oh, come on. And Connie's like, it was a joke.
Yeah.
But Joanne's like, I have to go to the Philippines for 2 months because of something that's come up with the board. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, I leave in 2 weeks. I'd be gone for 2 months. And he's like, we'll have to, wait to do all the wedding planning until then. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, wait, unless we could just do it now.
Yeah.
And make that our honeymoon missions trip, whatever.
Love that weird hybrid baby.
Look, I would never recommend anyone do that, but for 2 older people,
sure,
and the relationship they have,
honeymoon.
Yeah, I'm like, they could make that work.
Sure. Well, and I think that you could make it work now too. If you just gotta split it up and make sure that you don't talk about your honeymoon on your missions trip, and you don't talk about your missions trip on your honeymoon.
Sure. Just split yourself in half.
Pretty much.
And
or you just send one half of the couple to do the missions trip, and the other half of the couple stays at the resort.
Great.
And
Yep.
You see if you put your head in a freezer and your feet in the oven. Your average temperature.
Yeah, no, that would be your father we're referencing here.
Yeah, yes, for everybody at home.
It was a great bit. So let's take you, for instance.
Yeah.
Points at child.
Yeah.
If I were to put your head in an oven and your feet in a freezer,
what would the middle temperature be?
To explain how averages are are not a great representation of data. But yeah. Love Bad Brian.
Gotta love him.
Mm-hmm. We should book him as a guest.
Yeah, how have we not?
Well, we've collected all the Acebo siblings, so now we gotta
parents,
expand, climb the family tree. So yeah, they kind of land on that. Mm-hmm. And Jason's like, okay, so it's definitely Jack and Joanne. And Connie's like, well, I wouldn't be so sure. We got to go check in on, on Eugene and Katrina.
Yeah.
And so Eugene's been taking care of Katrina, and they have this little conversation where Katrina, I love, once again, Pamela Hayden just doing a great job performing as a person who just had mouth surgery.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She just had some major dentistry done, and so she's got to talk through that.
Talk through gauze, presumably.
and she's not supposed to. And yeah, Katrina just talks about how much she's loved Eugene being around here and taking care of her. That her parents always just hired full-time nurses when she was sick.
Which, like, ouch. Like, what?
Yeah.
Armitage.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, Eugene kind of opens up and like talks about, like, expresses awareness of his emotional immaturity.
Yeah.
And just talks about like having a lot to learn when it comes to relationships, and hoping that he'll be able to develop in that way, if not for her, then for some future companion.
Which is just so good.
I love that sentiment.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible sentiment, and it's like that is the healthy. That is the final resting place that Eugene needed to get to before he would have been able to like function healthily in the relationship.
Yeah,
It's kind of annoying that the turnaround is immediate, but also like it works because it's a show and whatever.
Yeah, and it's that thing where, right, him saying it out loud is like enough to establish, is all we need as an audience to know that he's figured it out.
Yeah.
But like that, yeah, it is, and he says something about like, for some future companion, he makes some allusion to like God's will or whatever in that as well. And I think that is just right. It's part of the journey he's on, and I like just that. Yeah, of that is like one of the, like, I think I would be I think my natural inclination towards pessimism is really well countered by the hope that I have in my faith.
Definitely, for sure.
Like, I think that that natural bend, or like the times where I just kind of want to like roll my eye and just be like, everything sucks. I'm like, no, but God's got this.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and that.
Or I just need to look harder because God's in here somewhere.
Right. And that idea of like, oh man, this relationship that like I have gotten so much out of and has seemed so positive, but the other person is just not into.
Yeah.
Like having that moment where you're like, okay, well, if I believe God's got this, then like there must be something better down the line, and how good will that be?
No, 100%.
And not to make it like not in like a, he's gonna give me an even hotter wife, like not to make it like prosperity gospel thing, but just like this is all at play for a reason that I don't understand. Yeah. And if this relationship isn't working, then I'm meant for something else.
Precisely. Yeah.
And Eugene kind of seems to have grasped that in this scene in a way that just like, hit me well.
No, yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's such a healthy, like, at least for me, I feel like it's the only way that you can function within a dating relationship in a healthy way for a long period of time without being like, I'm locking you into this, like, we're planning on getting married and yada yada yada. But it like, and you can have all those plans, but it's also very much like if the creek don't rise and if everything works out, but if not, then that I'm trying the best that I can to be the best version of myself and to be the the healthiest, most Christ-like version of me that I can be. So I'm just gonna follow that wherever it leads, and if it doesn't end here, then it doesn't end here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool that Eugene gets to that point, and almost this is a big word, and I'm going to use it, but I don't know that I'm using it correctly, or at least that it directly applies. But it's almost like a chiastic structure where, like, they started so close together in their non-belief, and then they both believed and kind of grew farther apart at a certain point, and then now, ever since, like, Katrina became a Christian and Eugene was still a non-believer, like, that was when the pivoting point started. Eugene started getting closer to Katrina, and Katrina started getting closer to Eugene. or at least understanding the future of her relationship with Eugene better.
Yeah.
Until it got to the point where they returned to that meeting point where we have Katrina proposing to Eugene.
Yeah, she interrupts him to say that she loves him.
Yeah.
And then asks him to marry her. So good.
So good.
I love it.
Please, somebody propose to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do the proposing. I know I'm gonna have to, presumably, but
I can cut this out and send it to someone.
please do. Alyssa, propose to me instead. I'll plan everything. You just need to do the proposing.
There you go. And by you mean your sisters.
Yeah. No, it'll look like me coming up with a decent idea, me bringing it to my sisters, them saying it's terrible, and then making an actual good idea.
Yep. And yeah, it is just so lovely. I like this moment for them. They've done so much work in this episode to make Katrina feel like, oh, this is a thing that like she wants and is on board for and has seen the growth in Eugene, and then making her the person who actually asks the question just really like solidifies that in a cool way. And I love that in a three-parter with 3 proposals that 2 of them the woman proposed.
Yeah, what? I did not remember that component of it.
Yeah. And like whereas the Margaret Faye one in the previous episode is kind of held out as like, she's girl bossing too hard.
Yeah. This
one's just really sweet.
No. Well, and it's like, and the way that she presents it is like, hey, you asked me before, and, I'm not sure if you'll ever get up the courage to ask me again, so I'm just going to ask you. Like, will you marry me?
Yeah. And once again, I would like to state for the record that they still have not technically been on a date. And I would really like for that to happen before engagement.
Ideally.
But regardless, I love this scene. This whole episode is great. And we cut back to Jason being like, well, so which one? And Connie just being like, oh, you're home.
Yeah.
Guess you'll just have to find out for yourself, Jason.
Yep.
Freaking amazing episode.
No,
I love it.
Oh, wait, no. This is when Jason realizes that his bun didn't have a burger.
Oh, that's true. We can't forget
that Jason still didn't get his food.
Yeah, because he says, because he interrupts the proposal to say, I can't believe it.
They forgot my burger.
Connie's like, what? There's no burger. There's everything on this except a burger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and that's where the episode ends.
Yeah.
Leading us into part 3. Also, I have a feeling I know who owns the antique store now. I think I remember.
Nice. Oh man.
So tune in next time to see if
Andrew's right. Oh man. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about this episode? I feel like I want to kiss it.
Yeah, I want to kiss it. I want to tuck it in. I want to take care of it if it needs to go to the dentist. Like, yeah, this is I will keep and protect this 3-parter until the day that I die. Yeah. I don't know. This is like, yeah, in many ways, and I said this for part 1, like this is in a lot of like just the highest points of Odyssey for me.
Yeah.
It's the comedy, it's the interpersonal stuff, it's the world building, it's the story framing, it's, especially, oh man, this episode with all of the stinger jokes that are just thrown in underhanded or in rapid succession. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah, like I don't, like the initial Bernard and Jack scene is fine, and the whole scene is also fine, and then it just picks up and it never stops.
Yeah, no.
And every moment is just
so good.
I love it.
So good.
Yeah.
We love the Flying Waldinis.
Yep.
We love the burger joint.
I need to lock
the-
this this episode into a marital contract of my own.
Yeah, certainly. Just don't hold your breath waiting for it to propose.
Andrew, what would you like to promote this episode?
Oh, so I just started a new book that my aforementioned significant other recommended to me. It's called Transcendent Kingdom. It is very good. I got it from my local library. Highly recommend. It's a story about a Ghanaian immigrant whose daughter then grows up and has to take care of her mother. Her mother wrestles with addiction. There's a lot of like spirituality and American culture shock and stuff like that. I'm only like maybe a third of the way through it at this point, but I'm enjoying it a lot so far. So definitely recommend. And Alyssa finished it and said she liked it. So
Nice.
I'm gonna speak for her and say that it's a good book.
Wow. How do we feel about that, Chalk Squad? Right in.
Yeah, not good. Sorry, my bad. This book
I'm
is
kidding. You're good. Man, yeah. What a
What do you have
What a
to
thing.
plug?
I don't know. That's what I'm struggling
Scrambling.
with. I've not watched much of anything recently.
Yeah, me neither.
I have been. What if I plug a book?
Please do.
Um,
The Bible.
well, no, but close. No, I'm kidding.
Actually, First John.
Is that your favorite one, Andrew?
It's up there.
Mm-hmm.
First John's definitely. I'm partial to Job as well. I like Job a lot.
Oh, that checks
Does
out.
that check out? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Psalms. Actually, no. My real favorite book of the Bible is James. End of story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This man likes the New Testament Proverbs. I
really do.
Martin Luther would hate you.
Yeah, he would.
I'm also going to plug a book. I'm going to plug Generous Justice by Tim Keller, a book that I have been reading over the past month plus that I'm really enjoying.
About money?
Kind
about
of
generosity?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely.
It's and justice. It's
Okay.
about it's about like what are the like tangible actions that should accompany a true faith.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what does that look like? And yeah, I haven't
the
made it
book
the
of James.
whole. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of James in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has been just a really good read. Obviously, I like Tim Keller. I've enjoyed
Yeah, I
the
feel
other
like
stuff I've read of his. Rest in peace. And I have been enjoying this. It's a little bit, it's more targeted than some of the other stuff I've read from him. But like I find myself nodding along and agreeing and also being challenged by it quite a bit. And yeah, I still have a lot to process through with it, but I am enjoying it enough that I'm willing to recommend it on a podcast.
Hot dog.
So-
Yeah. First ever.
I think that's the first time I've ever recommended a book. I don't read much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really either. It's just a thing that I felt like I should do once I graduated college.
That's lovely. Hey.
What do I do now?
Whatever makes it happen.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that being said, we're going to be back next week for episode 374, For Whom the Wedding Bells Toll, Part 3.
Bye, guys.
Bye.